Today we're going to be going over the results of a hydroponic nutrient experiment testing on MasterBlend versus water, all grown on our reusable grow medium, so stay tuned for the experiment. Alrighty y'all, so like I said in the intro, what we're going to be doing today is comparing the results of a hydroponic nutrient MasterBlend against regular filtered tap water. Now for this experiment, what we did is we seeded all 4 of these trays with the exact same crop, which is purple kohlrabi, and we used 20 grams per tray. And for most of this grow, everything was the same except for one major element. The major element was the nutrient that was used, and we'll get to that in a second. So let's go ahead and talk about the germination period. All 4 of these trays went through the same germination period, which was 3 days underneath weight and then 3 days in blackout. After that, they were introduced all to the same lights, which were 3 of these Barina 20 watts T5 LEDs that put out about 6,000 to 8,000 lumens onto the shelf, or I guess you should say lux is the more specific term. And all of the crops were grown on our reusable grow medium, which is a 316 food grade stainless steel that we have pre-cut to fit into 1020 trays. So that is what it was all the same. Now, these spent 7 days underneath these lights, and during that period that they went underneath the lights, that's when things began to be different. What we did is 2 of the trays, which are the black trays over here, received MasterBlend, the 4-18-38 tomato formula, mixed how they recommend, which is with calcium nitrate and Epsom salt also added to it, against, we're comparing it against rather, these 2 purple trays, which had the base of this MasterBlend, which was the filtered water only. So on the shelf, they were actually staggered as well. So we had black, purple, kind of like this. That way we randomize it a little bit on the shelf and say perhaps if there's more airflow at one end of the shelf or something like that, it doesn't skew the results too much. Just try to randomize it as much as possible on the shelf, except for the nutrients that they received. So let's go ahead and take a look at the results here, now that I've kind of knocked over my microgreens a little bit and they're looking a little bit sadder. So as you guys can tell, there is a difference here. You'd have to be pretty blind not to realize, and even if you were blind, you could feel and see that there's a really big difference between the growth here. And this is one of the reasons that we really advocate for using nutrients and growing microgreens. There's a lot of people out there for some reason just don't like doing it. I think that adding nutrients does provide a lot of benefit depending on the nutrient source. There's actually some nutrients out there that provide a negative benefit. They'll grow slower, or sometimes it'll make the crop taste bad. But for the most part, if you choose the right nutrients and add them correctly to your microgreens, you'll generally get a boost of growth, maybe flavor, sometimes coloration will change and stuff like that. So before I just keep on rambling, let's go ahead and take a look at the results here. So like I said, the black trays are the MasterBlend and the purple bottom trays are the filtered water only. So taking a look at the growth here, I can see that I do have really fluffy looking growth on the MasterBlend tray. It is kind of falling over the sides of this tray. It's very abundant looking. My cotyledons, which are the 2 leaves here, I can do it on my shirt because I have a big diagram here. So it says cotyledon, if anybody's curious about that. These are the cotyledons. This is your true leaf. So what we're looking at on here is we're seeing these really nice big looking cotyledons, and we are starting to see like the tiniest hint of a true leaf down here. So they are they could probably grow for about another day or 2, but I'm really happy with their height and I don't want them going too much taller or they'll really begin kind of falling over. So I'm going to be harvesting at this point. If you wanted though, you could continue to grow out your crop, let that true leaf get a little bit bigger, but we're going to kind of harvest here, and we're going to do the same thing with our water tray. So let's go ahead and take a look at the water tray. The cotyledons are much smaller. It is very uniform growth though. I'm very happy with the growth on this tray. It looks like the germination was completely solid. It looks really flat and uniform across it. The cotyledon size, like I said, is a little bit smaller than I would like. I would prefer these to be quite a bit larger, but it does look like, kind of peeking through, that they have a really beautiful looking stem, so I can't wait to get to harvest and see what that looks like. Let's take a look here. So there's a little bit of slow growth on some of these over here, but still the growth on that tray is really exceptional overall. As for the results of the other 2, I'm seeing the exact same kind of results here. The MasterBlend one, the nutrient added one, is looking really abundant. It's got really large and developed cotyledons, and the water tray again is looking really uniform. It's a really nice looking crop, though the leaves are quite a bit smaller than I would prefer. I would prefer something like this to sell to customers or to consume for myself. because that's a bit more of an abundant plant. You're gonna get a better harvest. And yeah, I guess I can quickly kind of switch it up. Usually I talk about cost at the end of this. Let's go ahead and talk about the nutrient formula and the added cost. So the nutrients that we use, like I said, is the tomato version of the MasterBlend, which is a 4:18:38 for the NPK. And in the MasterBlend formula, you're supposed to add in calcium nitrate as well as Epsom. So the ratios were 1 teaspoon of MasterBlend, 1 teaspoon of the calcium nitrate, and then half a teaspoon of the Epsom salt. It's a 1:1, 1/2 ratio for the MasterBlend calcium, and then the Epsom salt was the one that gets half of what you do for the others. The reason that I went with 1 teaspoon is it was technically measured out in grams. That startled me. Sorry, sometimes when this flood and drain kicks on, I didn't know if somebody was sneaking up behind me or what was going on here, but that legit startled me. Lost my train of thought. So over the duration of this grow, I would say that we used 1 bucket for both of these MasterBlend trays, and about the same for the water trays is about 1 bucket. And when I say a bucket, that's about 2.5, 3 gallons of water. So each one of these trays receives between 1.25 to 1.5 gallons throughout their entire duration of their grow, which is about 13 days. The added cost to add this MasterBlend to these trays is around 15 cents per tray. So it's really, really quite affordable, and I do think that, again, there's some nutrients out there that is absolutely worth it, in my opinion, to be adding these to your microgreens, because it does provide quite the boost. So let's go ahead and get into harvest weights here. Let's see what the difference is in harvest weight. We'll go ahead and taste the crop, see what it tastes like. We'll take a really close look at the appearance, see if there's any like crazy coloration or any big differences here, and we'll weigh out the pros and the cons at the end of this, and I'll see you guys in just a moment once we have harvested all 4 of these trays. Alright, so I was getting ready to start the harvest, and I thought actually what we should do is probably take a look at the roots real quick so that you guys can see the differences on the root growth here, because like I said, both of these are grown on the mesh reusable grow medium, so the roots go through it really easily, as well as they're on a mesh tray, so it's pretty fun to look at the root structures and see how they've grown. So let's go ahead and get this lifted up, and you'll notice here I'm using our patent pending little tray clips that we've actually had a lot of people really loving this. One comment that we had recently was somebody said that it really does help because they actually have arthritis, and trying to separate those trays has been such a blessing, because they said that was their least favorite part of microgreen growing, was trying to separate those trays for the watering process. So, you know, it's like little messages like that that really do mean a lot to us and make it worth it for us to create these products. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is our water tray over here, and this is our nutrient tray right here. So I'm gonna kind of flip it sideways so I can take a look with you guys. So I would say both these root structures are really quite developed, though if you look at this nutrient one right here in the middle, how much longer those roots are that they're actually falling, and they look really quite dense and super healthy and happy looking. Seeing some really, really nice growth on the nutrient side as well as this water side. Though in the middle of this water one, I'm noticing that it doesn't look as happy as the sides do. So again, that could be another benefit of adding these nutrients, is you do get that kind of accelerated root growth sometimes, again, if you do the right kind of nutrient adding and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back into the harvesting of these trays. I just wanna share the root structures with you guys and show you some of our fun tray clips that are available on our website. And we have a whole bunch of fun colors coming. Right now we have some light green, depending on when this is posted. And every color batch that we do is kind of limited. Sometimes we'll reprint the colors, sometimes we won't get back to it for months, and sometimes we won't reprint that color at all. So it could be like a limited little edition there. But we got some fun ones coming soon, so be sure to check it out. www.onthegrow.net. Oof, that product is looking good. I love that little purple down there. MasterBlend starting off nice. You can see how easy it is to check out the health of the crop right here with this reusable grow medium too, because you don't have all that soil and stuff kind of adding to the coloration, so you can really see if you got mold and stuff like that. And with the stainless steel, if you were to glide your knife across it, it's gonna dull your knife a little bit, but it's not gonna chop up your medium like it would happen with some plastics and stuff like that. So you can be a little bit more careless with the medium when it comes to harvesting, I suppose. All right, so now we are harvesting the water groups. So let's go ahead and see what our first kind of little cut looks like right here. So immediately I'm noticing how much shorter it is, but still some really beautiful stems. I go from that purple up into that ivory into a really nice looking cotyledon with some really pretty purples on it. So Let me go ahead and get to harvesting this whole tray, and then we'll compare appearances, taste, and harvest weights. I'll see you guys in just a moment.
Moments later.
I have finished harvesting all 4 of the trays, so let's go ahead and talk about the harvest weights. So over here, these are my MasterBlend side, and these 2 right here are my waters. So let's talk about the harvest weights here. Starting with the first MasterBlend tray, we had a harvest weight of 246.5 grams, and the second tray had a harvest weight of 231 grams. So the average between these 2 groups was 238.75. As for the water trays, the first tray had a harvest weight of 149.5, and the second tray had a nearly identical harvest weight of 149.6. So the average was 149.55, literally super close on the water side. So the difference in the averages between the 2 groups is 89.2 grams in favor of the MasterBlend side. So that is a massive, massive jump there, especially for only a 12-day grow, or 13-day grow technically. Well, the day is the 13th day. It's 12 days in total that these were growing. So I think that's showing right there a 90-gram benefit to the MasterBlend side in a product that I think looks a little bit better, but we're going to get into that right now. So let's go ahead and take a close look at the appearance on all of these crops side by side. So like I stated, this is our MasterBlend side and this is our water side. Taking a look at the MasterBlend side, you're going to notice way longer stems, much more developed cotyledons. These are nice, juicy looking cotyledons here. Some
big old boys,
I guess you could say. As for the coloration, I'm noticing some really nice purples in that stem. That ivory color is gorgeous. It has a really nice fade right there. I am seeing some purple in the cotyledons themselves, so they do have like a nice little rim on some of the cotyledons for the coloration, which is one of the characteristics of purple kohlrabi that I really do enjoy. As for the water side, you're gonna notice it's much shorter. So it's still really pretty product, but it is very, very tiny, especially when compared to, I mean, the size difference right here in these 2. You get to see how much more abundant this crop over here looks. I mean, this is very healthy looking, but still, if I'm talking what looks like abundance, I would say that these look less abundant than the MasterBlend side. As for the coloration, again, really beautiful coloration. I really love the stems. I love the colors up into the cotyledons. The cotyledons are underdeveloped for my taste. I would prefer to have probably grown this out for several more days if we weren't doing a comparison, to try to get those cotyledons just a little bit bigger. This water tray did have a few more semi-developed cotyledons, but again, really quite small compared to the MasterBlend side there. And again, the overall height is maybe 1.5 inches compared to probably a solid 2 inches over here on the MasterBlend side. So that's it for quick look at the appearance. If I had to choose a winner for overall appearance in this experiment, I would choose the MasterBlend side. The reason is I love the coloration, I love the size. It's a very abundant looking product. This is not too much stem in my opinion. I think this is a really nice stem to cotyledon size, and if I wanted to as well, I can also chop off just a little bit more of that stem to make it a bit more presentable. But I do love the purple down there, so I think that would actually take away from the appearance. So that's why I like leaving these stems so long on this crop. So now let's jump into a blind taste test. And I don't have a blindfold out here, so I'm going to use a little makeshift blindfold using 2 towels tied together. And Mandy is going to hand me some from each group. Actually, before you do that, Mandy, let me open up. Well, I just pulled it off my face. Get the knife and let's cut the stems off to make the sizes a little bit more comparable. Alright, so Mandy has trimmed up the stem height from what I'm told, and she's going to be handing this to me, and I'm going to blind taste test these groups. So I will say I'm probably going to be a little bit knowledgeable about which group is which because of the cotyledon size. That's something you can't really hide, and I've done so many taste tests that it's going to be hard not to notice that, but I'm going to do my best to act ignorant of the cotyledon size. That was a big handful. It's a lot to... Will you hand me the water? Sorry. Got our water cup here. If you guys didn't get one, you missed your opportunity. These are no longer available. Okay, so let's talk about the taste test of group number 1. Immediately, really strong brassica flavor, really nice crunch to it. Overall, I love the flavor. It's still really kind of lingering right there. It's got really, really nice brassica flavor. Again, it was chewy, but not too chewy, so I really did enjoy that. Let's go ahead and taste group number 2. All right, group numero dos. Okay, group number 2. Again, it had a really good brassica flavor. It didn't feel as strong as the first group. It was chewy, not too chewy again, but it did have a nice lingering aftertaste of the brassica. So overall, it was good. I think I do prefer group 1 so far over group 2. All right, group number 3. Really nice, pungent brassica flavor. Again, I think everything after group 1 is kind of hard to say because that's like the first taste. It's hard not to, it's hard to kind of get that reset all the way as for the new flavors. But again, it was really nice and chewy. It wasn't overly chewy. It disappeared quickly, wasn't too fibrous. Nice brassica aftertaste. Nothing to complain about on that flavor. The last one, I feel like that's a water group. Really nice flavor again. I feel like groups 1 and 4 were maybe the water groups because whenever they're usually that small, they pack a big punch like that. That's my guess anyways. I'm guessing that was the water groups 1 and 4. Overall, the flavor was really great across all of those. I do feel like groups 2 and 3 were a bit more mild compared to groups 1 and 4. So I will say overall flavor winners without taking my mask off is going to be groups 1 and 4. Coming back to the light, Mandy, if you would.
Ding, 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 ding.
Was I correct?
Yeah, you were correct.
Okay, cool. So that's what I thought. Usually whenever the crops are really, sorry, my eyes are still coming back to reality here. Whenever the crops are really small like that, generally they pack a really pungent flavor. And that's just because they're so condensed, I feel. So again, I feel like they won in flavor. However, that's not to say that the flavor was bad on the MasterBlend side. In fact, I really did enjoy the flavors. It just tasted like they were a bit more mild compared to that really pungent brassica flavor that you can get. And this could be personal preference. You know, I like a stronger brassica flavor. Some people might be like, whoa, dude, that's overpowering. I just like to eat my greens and I just want it to taste, you know, kind of normalish. And that's where the MasterBlend could come in really well there. Now with the water groups, had we grown them out for several more days, I do believe that flavor would have dissipated a little bit and you would have got something more similar to the MasterBlend. Again, I attribute generally the smaller size crops have a lot more punch compared to the big size crops. And that's just what we've noticed over, goodness, over 2 years of doing these kinds of experiments is the smaller they are, the more pungent, the bigger they are, the less flavor. Sometimes they can have more intense flavor, or sometimes they can have really bad flavor if they go too big. So that's it for the winner of taste test. So let's go ahead and recap. Winner in overall harvest weight was the MasterBlend side. Winner in overall appearance. I couldn't remember the order of this. I've only done like a few hundred of these. The winner of the appearance is the MasterBlend side. I like the cotyledon development just a little bit more. I just launched a cotyledon out of my mouth, speaking of. And the winner of the taste test, I chose the water groups because it did have that more pungent brassica flavor. But again, this is personal preference. I did like all of the flavors on all of the groups, so there's nothing bad to say about the MasterBlend, which is, in my opinion, a good thing about nutrients. As long as the nutrients don't provide some negative benefit, it's not really a negative benefit, a negative effect on the crops, then I do like using nutrients. In this case, I would continue to use MasterBlend, and I would recommend to others if they want to. Go for it, man. I think that the MasterBlend does a great job. It's really cheap. The biggest upfront cost is buying all three of the different nutrients, which is the MasterBlend itself, the calcium nitrate, and the Epsom salt. But all those are relatively inexpensive, especially if you're growing to sell, because this boost right here of about 100 grams almost, what was it, 89.5 I think?
I think so.
In favor of the MasterBlend, that's going to make your money back quicker. And if you're just growing for yourself, that's more product every single week that you're going to be able to enjoy. Bigger salads, more fluffy salads. I think that it's worth it. I would suggest using MasterBlend. And our favorite nutrients, in case you're curious, are Ocean Solutions 2-0-3, this MasterBlend, and I feel like alright you guys, so that is it for this experiment. Ooh, let's go ahead and show you guys what it's like to clean up this medium, because that's one of the biggest questions we get is like, okay, how is it to clean that medium? Is it worth it? So what we've got here is a little pastry cutter. This is for things like cutting like rolls and pizza. It's like $7 and it's stainless steel. I love using this because you get to do this really gratifying thing right here, which is just kind of scraping. Got some leftover water in there, but you can see how easily it just cleans all of this off. It is really quite gratifying. There's a little bit of water in this tray, so I'm gonna skip this one because I have to tilt the tray a little bit. I think there's a little bit less. Yeah, there's less water in this one right now. Oh, it's so gratifying. All right, so just like that, we got the top mostly cleared off. All I gotta do is shwado. And most of the roots you can see have come off already. So this is basically clean at this point. I just gotta do a little bit of cleanup. It's hard to do when it's not sitting on a flat surface. Bam. And just like this is nearly, I would say, 80% clean. What I do is just scrape just a tiny bit more up here, but it's hard to do. I like to do this over my sink area. And then what I do is I actually set this out into the sun for a day, and it just dries all of these leftover little roots. You take a little brush and they flake off in like 10 seconds. So for me, I think that the cleanup process is really, really easy on this. And the cool thing is you can take all this, and if you got like chickens and stuff like that, you can feed this to your chickens, as long as you don't have like any molds or anything on the medium itself, or on the roots itself. Or you could compost this. That's what we do, is we just toss this straight into our compost. And there's actually some people who ask, you know, can you harvest the microgreens with the roots intact? And the answer to the question is yes, you can. In fact, most of these will pull straight out of this grow medium super easily with the roots. All you have to do is just kind of grab it and tug, and you can pull out a lot of the tiny little roots there, and you can have your roots intact with your microgreens, though sometimes you'll get some seeds, so you might want to kind of rinse that off unless you're not weird about eating a little bit of seed holes. You know, it just adds a little bit of crunch in my opinion, so I'm not too weird about it. So that's a common question we get there, is what's it like to clean that up. I find it to be really, really easy, and the cool thing is once you reuse this about 10 times, it pays for itself, because you're going forward, you're no longer paying for the soils or reusable grow mats or whatever you might have been using, or not reusable grow mats, but grow mats. So that is one of the reasons why we really do enjoy this medium, is that it is reusable. I find it to be a little bit more sustainable instead of shipping soils from around the country or having to go out all the time to find soils. It works great in a pinch, and the fun thing is that you can grow plants without actually having any kind of soil. I think it's really fascinating to just grow straight on a non-organic medium like this. There are a lot of benefits to using a good soil, so I'm not saying like, hey, don't use a good soil if you want to, but if you like to have a little bit of fun and you want to try something different, this is a really fun way to grow, and something that we really do quite enjoy, and we'll have a lot more videos like it coming soon. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give me a thumbs down. If you have any questions or comments, or derogatory or happy, leave them in the comment section below. If you guys would like to, our Instagram and our Facebook are both @OnTheGrow Farms, and our website is www.onthegrow.net. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Keep on believing, and go to our website if you want to get some of these products for yourself while they last. We're getting pretty low on our inventory, and we might be sold out by the time this video goes live, so enjoy.